What's up, Commanders fans? Welcome back to Commanders HQ, your go-to spot for everything burgundy and gold. Before we jump in, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn those notifications on so you don't miss any of our breaking updates. Now, I know this season has been a roller coaster. Injuries, tough losses, inconsistency, but here's the good news. The team is focused on getting better every single week. And this Monday night, we might finally see the payoff. The Washington Commanders are set to get two key offensive pieces back for Week 8, Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel, right when they need them the most. And on the other side of the ball, defensive coordinator Joe Whitt Jr. is finally making a bold move fans have been begging for. Let's get into it. Commanders fans, take a deep breath. The reinforcements are here. After weeks of battling with a depleted wide receiver room, Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel are both officially cleared to play against the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football. McLaurin's been sidelined for 4 games with that nagging quad injury from Week 3 against the Raiders. Meanwhile, Deebo missed last week's matchup with a bruised heel that had him limited for nearly a month. But now, both are back, and both are fully participating in practice. Head coach Dan Quinn said it best, "We need our best players on the field. Having those two back changes everything." He's not kidding. The Commanders have managed to stay competitive even without their two biggest offensive weapons, sitting 10th in scoring and 13th in total yards. Not bad considering all the shuffling that's gone on. But if you've been watching closely, you've probably noticed the cracks starting to show. Early in the season, Washington's ground attack was on fire, averaging over 6 yards per carry through the first 5 games. But over the last 2 weeks, that number dropped to 3.6 yards per carry. Teams have figured it out. Defenses are stacking the box, daring Marcus Mariota to beat them with his arm. And without McLaurin stretching the field or Deebo demanding double coverage underneath, it's been tough sledding. That's why McLaurin's return couldn't come at a better time. He told reporters Friday, "Being able to accelerate, run by people, and slam on the brakes, that's my game. My injury hindered a lot of that, but I feel really good right now." That's the kind of energy fans have been dying to hear. When McLaurin is on the field, defenses have to respect the deep threat. They can't just load 8 in the box and shut down the run. It opens up everything, from quick slants to play-action bombs. Deebo Samuel might not have eye-popping numbers right now, 34 catches, 315 yards, and 3 touchdowns, but his impact goes way beyond the box score. He brings physicality, he brings swagger, he brings that "I'll run through your face" mentality that sets the tone for this entire offense. With both Deebo and McLaurin on the field, offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury finally gets to open the full playbook again. There's no doubt. There are certain coverages teams just aren't willing to play when you've got guys like that out there. It opens things up for everyone else. That means guys like Luke McCaffrey, Chris Moore, Jalen Lane, and Zach Ertz can thrive in their roles without having to carry the load. Defenses can't key in on them anymore. They'll be facing the 3rd or 4th best defensive back instead of the top 2. And for Mariota, it's a sigh of relief. The veteran QB needs all the help he can get with Jaden Daniels still nursing that hamstring injury. The Commanders are sitting at 3-4, and let's be honest, this matchup against the Chiefs is a turning point. Beat Kansas City, and suddenly the season looks alive again. Lose, and you risk slipping into that dangerous play for pride territory. The Chiefs haven't been the same juggernaut they were a couple of years ago. Patrick Mahomes is still elite, but their defense has been inconsistent, and their secondary can be beaten deep. If there was ever a week for the Commanders to pull off a statement win, this is it. McLaurin and Deebo together make this offense unpredictable again. Washington ranks 7th in yards per play, but a disappointing 24th on 3rd down conversions. That's where these two stars can change everything, moving the chains, creating separation, and turning short passes into big plays. While all the buzz is around the offense, don't sleep on what's happening on the defensive side. Joe Whitt Jr. finally made the bold move fans have demanded. After weeks of watching this defense struggle, especially at linebacker, Whitt announced that rookie Jordan Magee will see a significant bump in snaps starting Monday night. Now, for those who might not know much about him, Magee is a 2024 4th-round pick out of Temple. Fast, explosive, plays with a motor that never stops. He's only logged about 10% of defensive snaps this season, but that's about to change in a big way. Whitt said, "We need energy and speed at the second level.
Jordan brings that. It's time to see what he can do. That's a major statement, especially considering Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu have struggled in coverage all season. Meijie's athleticism and instincts might be just what the defense needs to contain Patrick Mahomes and that high-octane Kansas City offense. This isn't just about one game. This is about building a foundation. The Commanders are one of the oldest teams in the league, and you can see it in the tape, especially on defense. Witt's decision to give Meijie real snaps signals a shift toward youth, energy, and adaptability. And it doesn't stop there. Witt also mentioned that rookie linebacker Kane Medrano could finally get his first defensive reps of the year. Washington drafted him specifically for coverage situations, and it's been puzzling why he hasn't seen the field yet. With all the injuries piling up, including Dietrich Wise and Dorrance Armstrong on the edge, Witt is being forced to adjust, and sometimes that's a blessing in disguise. Earlier this week, The Athletic published an article that ranked every NFL team as one of three things heading into the trade deadline: buyers, sellers, or stand pat. And when it came to our Commanders, Nikki Habala didn't hesitate. She put Washington in the stand pat category. At first glance, that might sound boring, but it actually tells you everything about where this team stands right now. Head coach Dan Quinn and general manager Adam Peters built this roster to compete now, not to rebuild. They believed in the veteran talent they brought in, Laramie Tunsil, Deebo Samuel, Marshawn Lattimore, and they believed in the leadership of Terry McLaurin and the potential of Jaden Daniels. This was supposed to be the season where Washington made a statement in the NFC. But 7 games in, the Commanders sit at 3-4, and reality is hitting hard. They've lost key pieces like Dorrance Armstrong Jr., Jaden Daniels is sidelined with a hamstring injury, and their next 3 opponents, the Chiefs, Seahawks, and Lions, have a combined record of 14-7. That's a gauntlet. So here's the question. What do the Commanders do now? The stand-pat dilemma.
Some fans want Peters to go for it, to add another weapon or impact player to spark a playoff push. Others say it's time to look ahead, protect future draft capital, and think about long-term stability. The truth? Peters is stuck right in the middle. He's already invested heavily to build this roster. He doesn't have many picks left to spend, just 6 in the 2026 draft, with none in the 2nd or 4th round. That's not ideal for a team still trying to find balance. And when you look at the trade market, the situation becomes even tougher. Twice as many teams are labeled as buyers than sellers, meaning if Peters wants to make a deal, he'd have to overpay. There are interesting names on struggling teams: Max Crosby from the Raiders, Myles Garrett from the Browns, Garrett Wilson from the Jets, but let's be honest, those guys aren't going anywhere unless you sell the farm, and Washington can't afford to do that again. So when Jabavala says stand pat, she's not saying do nothing. She's saying be smart. Don't panic. Don't mortgage the future for a short-term jolt. Think about this. Despite all the injuries and inconsistency, the Commanders are still only 2 games back from the NFC East lead. The Eagles haven't looked unbeatable, the Cowboys are up and down, and the Giants, well, they're the Giants. If Washington finds its rhythm and gets healthy, starting this Monday night with Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel both returning, they can absolutely make a run. McLaurin said this week he's ready to roll, and Deebo's heel has finally healed up enough for him to practice at full speed. That's massive for Marcus Mariota, who's still filling in for Daniels. You can't overstate how big those returns are. When McLaurin's on the field, defenses have to play honest. When Deebo's in the lineup, he brings that edge, that yards after contact aggression that this offense has been missing. So yes, Washington's record is 3-4, but their ceiling is still much higher than that, if they can stay healthy and execute. Now, if Peters were to make a move, what would it even look like? It probably wouldn't be a blockbuster, maybe a depth trade, something like moving a veteran on an expiring contract to give a younger player a chance. Guys like Andrew Wiley, Noah Igbenogany, Jeremy McNichols, or Eddie Goldman could attract interest from playoff contenders looking for depth. But those kinds of deals don't bring big returns. You're talking late-round pick swaps, maybe improving your position in the 6th or 7th round. It's the kind of move that only makes sense if you've got young players ready to step up, like Carlin Vigers at cornerback or Jordan Magee at linebacker. Still, that's not going to change the direction of the season, and that's exactly why standing pat might be the right move. Sometimes the best decision is to stay disciplined, to trust the plan you already have in motion instead of chasing quick fixes. Learning from the past. If there's one thing Commanders fans know all too well, it's how dangerous panic moves can be. For years, Washington lived in a cycle of desperation, chasing the next flashy name, giving up picks, and constantly pressing reset when things didn't click right away. But this front office, led by Adam Peters, isn't built that way. Peters has said repeatedly that his focus is on sustainable success, not just one playoff run, but building a team that can compete year after year. And when you zoom out, that's what this moment is really about. It's not just about whether the Commanders buy or sell at the deadline, it's about whether they believe in what they're building, whether they trust their process enough to weather a rough stretch without tearing everything down or giving up future flexibility. The Commanders overachieved last season. They're underachieving this season. But that's still progress if you keep it in perspective. Because what you're seeing is a team that's trying to establish its identity the right way, with patience and purpose. Here's the reality, Commanders fans. This team is at a crossroads. The offense is getting its stars back, the defense is making long overdue changes, and Monday night's primetime showdown against the Chiefs could define the rest of the season. If McLaren and Debo come back firing on all cylinders, and if Jordan Magee injects new life into the defense, Washington has a real shot to shock the NFL world and remind everyone why this team should never be counted out. But if the same old mistakes creep back in, penalties, blown coverages, offensive stalls, it could be another long, frustrating night. So now I want to hear from you, Commanders Nation. Do you believe the return of McLaren and Debo will spark this offense back to life? And do you think Jordan Magee deserves to become a permanent starter if he performs well on Monday night? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear it all. And if you love getting the inside scoop on your Washington Commanders, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to Commanders HQ, and share this video with a fellow fan who bleeds burgundy and gold. Because one thing's for sure, this team is fighting, improving, and ready to prove that their story in 2025 isn't over yet. Let's go, Commanders.